Welcome back to the next session, next class. So yesterday we have seen the guidelines in preparing teaching learning materials, that is teaching learning aids. So what are the guidelines required for the preparation of materials? So guidelines for the preparation of aids and the principles of making teaching learning aids for children, materials and tools required for preparing aids, and ideas for making teaching learning aids, graphic aids, two dimensional and three-dimensional aids, and improvisation of teaching learning aids, activities suggested for improving skills in preparing these aids. So give me 1 minute. So in this topic, we will be studying three units uh, under Black 4, that is evaluation. We have 10th unit, that is techniques of evaluation. 11th unit is monitoring indicators, and 12th unit is about reporting techniques. Reporting techniques. So we will be studying what is evaluation and how it should be done at preschool level. So the first we will be studying the definition or the concept of evaluation, and how it should be done at preschool level. See, this evaluation should be done at different levels, like preschool level, secondary level, that varies from one level to another level, from preschool to the higher education level. So importance and need of different evaluation techniques to be used by early childhood care education teachers and caretakers. So why to evaluate these programs are learning, and when to evaluate the child, at what stage as a teacher is supposed to evaluate the child progress, and in which context the child is to be evaluated. What are the key concepts included in that evaluation process, and also in which context the child is to be evaluated? Is evaluation subject based or program oriented, or child development based, or homeschool connection is required? So what is the support to be extended by the teacher to child for smooth transition of the learning, and achievement. So early childhood education program, how it should be. So what are the standards need to be maintained in implementing these early childhood care education for preschoolers. And in previous classes we have seen already that in previous classes we have seen that the importance of the early childhood care education and this early childhood period, what is the importance of this stage, and early childhood education, how it has to be planned, how it has to be planned and organized and implemented. So what are the strategies need to follow in planning this program and organizing this program, and also the implementation, that is, it should be developed, it should be developmentally appropriate. So developmental stages of the children need to be understood before planning and implementing and organizing this early childhood care and education program. So child development stages or human developmental stages, based on these stages the curriculum need to be modified, or curriculum need to be uh, improvised. So this should be developmentally appropriate, play based and activity oriented. So this curriculum should be activity based and play based manner. So early childhood care and education program is development oriented and not syllabus oriented, development oriented rather than syllabus oriented. So early childhood care and education implementation processes child center and play based. So evaluation is continuous informal evaluation of the child in terms of developmental objective. That should be informal. So no child in preschool should be made to take written or oral test. According to NCERT, so the purpose of evaluation at preschool level stage is not to label a child as a pass or fail. We should not give, we should not label the child after assessment, this child is passed, this child is not passed or fail. That kind of labeling should not be entertained according to NCERT. So you should not conduct any written test or oral test before admitting this child. So the basic purpose of the assessment and evaluation in preschool program at preschool stage is to determine every child's developmental status at a time and how they are progressive over a time. So based on the developmental stages, the child is getting, or child is ready to get the numeracy skills, or improving, or is ready to improving, yeah, himself or herself, that numeracy and literacy skills and problem solving skills, is the child is ready to adapt those skills or not, that is the main purpose. So the progressing over the time, how they are progressing over the time. So here So after completing this unit, after completing this topic, you will be able to achieve certain objectives, like you will be able to understand the need and importance of the evaluation and assessment in early childhood education. So you will be able to understand the need and the importance of the evaluation process or assessment in early childhood education. And also you will be able to develop knowledge about the you will be able to develop the knowledge about the different techniques of evaluation. Different techniques of what are the techniques required or techniques used in the process of evaluation. So you are able to understand you are able to develop the knowledge about the different techniques of evaluation process, and also you will be able to develop some of the skills, like skills of implementing the evaluation process by using different evaluation techniques to identify the progress of the child in the area of learning and the development. Okay, so you you will be able to develop the skills of implementing the evaluation process by using different evaluation techniques. We have different evaluation. In the next class we will be studying the techniques of evaluation. So techniques to identify the progress of the child in the area of learning, in the area of development, in the area of learning and the development. This is another objective. Next is you will be able to develop knowledge and prevalent practices of assessment in the early years about the children's literacy, learning, numeracy and the development. So this is about the next learning outcome. So we will be studying the assessment, evaluation and the techniques of evaluation. So what is the evaluation? So just now I told you about the learning outcomes and the brief history or introduction about the evaluation. Next is, what is evaluation? What is evaluation? Process of language development observation, principles of assessment, authenticity of assessment. Under this authenticity of assessment, you are going to study the assessment procedures, maintaining records of children's work, portfolios, and anecdotal records, reporting children's progress pertaining to all developmental domains, early literacy and numeracy. Next, the tools and techniques of what are the tools and techniques of evaluation, early literacy and numeracy, types of evaluation of program. Next is different terminology come in the evaluation process. In the next class, we will be studying that. So here, what is the evaluation? What is evaluation? Okay. So what is evaluation? What is evaluation? So evaluation is a systematic process of determining the values, significance or worth of something based on established criteria and standards. So it involves collecting and analyzing the information. It is it involves the collecting and analyzing information to make informed judgments about the quality, effectiveness, efficiency, and impact of ECCE program project policy and the products. So here at the early childhood program is to meet the needs of children and serve for good education and care. So that is to provide opportunities and to sustain the learned knowledge and the skills for children to develop physically, socially, cognitively, and emotionally with sufficient scope for holistic development and with required lifelong education and skills. So it is also understood that whether it is a Balwadi, Anganwadi, Balavatika, or any other preschool in a rural setting or in urban area, each child has their own way to achieve particular goals and objectives. So curriculum planning and program or goals and objectives is one, implementing process, teaching learning process, conducting activities, encouraging children to participate and interact is the other aspect. So observing the recording, their development and learning and achievement levels, status and assessment and evaluation is the third. So we have here three concepts. We have three concepts. One is curriculum planning, the program, implementation process, and the conducting activities encouraging children to participate in the program is the another aspect. So the third one is observing and recording their development. Okay, planning and implementation of the ECCE program. Planning, organizing, and implementing the ECCE program is one aspect. Second one is the learning process, teaching learning process, or conducting activities and encouraging the preschoolers or the children in these uh, to participate and they interact in the programs is another aspect. Third one is the observing, the recording, their development and learning. Observing, or you can say the collecting the data or observing the learning and development of the preschool children is the third one. So these three to go together hand in hand, keeping in mind this. So these three aspects, these three concepts go together hand in hand. So keeping these three aspects in the mind. So as a teacher, we have to question ourselves. As a teachers, as a preschool teachers, we have to question ourselves. So what is that I need to develop among the children? What are you going to develop among the children? This refers to goals. What you are going to inculcate among the children. That would be your goal. That refers to goal. That is planning the program with certain goals and the objectives. Planning the program with certain goals and objectives with certain expecting learning outcomes. With certain learning outcomes. That is planning the program is the first step, keeping the learner in the mind. So you should keep the mind, you should keep one thing in your mind, that is the learners. Okay. So what are the objectives and what are the goals and learning outcomes? What you are going to achieve after completing this unit? That is nothing but whether you are achieved the goals, expected goals or the objective, and also the learning outcomes also. Learning outcomes also you need to You need to know after completing the course or the unit. So understand the need of using different assessment procedures, maintaining necessary records and registers in ECCE centers. So develop understanding about the developmental indicators and used to identify developmental and achievement levels of the children, and also to interpret evaluation outcomes in terms of the effectiveness of the program. So what is the concept of assessment and evaluation and its importance in preschool education? Preschool education. What is assessment in preschool stage? Preschool stage. Okay. So here, what is just now we have seen that evaluation plays a crucial role or a critical role in assessing the quality, effectiveness, and impact of programs and interventions designed for young children. So ECCE focuses on the development and education of children from birth to 8 years old. So a period crucial for cognitive, social, and emotional physical development. So here evaluation helps to ensure that the services provided meet the developmental needs of the children and support their holistic growth. So developmentally appropriate practices like criteria used in ECC evaluation after include whether the practices and activities are suitable or not. You must ensure that these developmentally appropriate practices activities are suitable for their age, individual needs, and the developmental stage of the children. So one is the age, second one is the developmental needs or individual needs and developmental stage. So child outcomes is the next one. So evaluation focuses on various child outcomes such as cognitive development, language skills, okay, socio-emotional development and physical health. These outcomes are measured to determine effectiveness of the ECCE program. So after these these outcomes, so evaluation focuses on various child outcomes like cognitive development is taking place or not, and the language skills are improving or not, and socio emotional development is happening or not, physical growth or physical health is in adequate amount or not. These outcomes are measured to determine the effectiveness, how effective the ECCE programs, how effective these ECCE programs. So next is learning outcomes. So assessing the quality of learning environment, including the physical setting, materials, and the interactions between children and educators. So family engagement is also important. So evaluating the extent and effectiveness of family involvement. Family involvement also play an important role, or family engagement also play an important role in evaluating the extent and effectiveness. So this extent and effectiveness of family involvement in the ECC program, recognizing that families play a crucial role in early childhood development. Next is the educator qualifications and the training. Educator qualification and the training. So assessing the qualifications, training and ongoing professional development of ECCE educators which are critical for high quality care and the education. So we have different types of evaluation in early childhood care and education, like formative evaluation, summative evaluation, impact evaluation, outcome evaluation. These are the basic. Sometimes the diagnostic evaluation. There are different types of evaluation for in early childhood care and education. So what is assessment in preschool? Assessment is a process of collecting or gathering information about children in order to make decision and estimate child's learning and about child's progress. So assessment is to extend support to learning and development of children. So it supports learning and development among the children, development of children. So assessment process should be planned based on the goals and objectives of the curriculum of ECC curriculum. ECC curriculum. So this will enable us to collect the information about the interest and abilities of child from time to time. Next is identify developmental needs and learning levels of the child, and also initiate action to support the learning process and development of the child. So assessing individuals as different at different levels or in groups through group activities cannot be done in isolation and should be contextual. These are some of the basic concepts. Next is assessment is an integral part of learning and teaching. So generally these assessment would be an integral part of learning and teaching, and it is to enhance child learning, development and improve, modify teachers teaching process. This helps this helps teaching process or modify the teaching methodology. Next is at primary level should focus on child development and learning, so that teachers and parents will find out what are the children's interested, what they can do and how they progress. So using this evaluation process, child what are the interests can be identified by the teachers, caregivers and the parents. So it also is to support learning and development of the children. So it is also is to should be process should be planned basing on the goals and objectives of the curriculum, and also this will enable us to collect the information about the interest and abilities of the child. It also identify developmental needs and learning levels of the child. It initiates action to support the learning process of the child. So assessment process. Next is the assessment process. There are three important steps to followed in the assessment process. There are important three steps. One is observing children, collecting information about the participation and learning level. So observing the children is the most important one. The first and basic concept, basic stage in assessment process. So observing the children, collect the information about the participation and learning level. About the participation and the learning level. Next is analyzing and evaluation the collected facts. So proper techniques should be taken to analyze these collected data. Next is based on the information, teachers is to plan to meet each child's needs and development. So each children needs and development take into consideration. So assessing individual at different level groups cannot be done in isolation and should be contextual. So importance of assessment and evaluation. Importance of assessment and evaluation. So the basic purpose of assessment in preschool program is to determine every child developmental status at a time periodically and how they are progressing over time. Through continuous observation and assessment, it becomes easy to plan early learning objectives or every learning experience to match the needs of the children and challenge their abilities. So the main purpose of observing the children is to get to know them, identify their needs and accordingly support their learning. What are the needs of the children? By using this evaluation process, child teacher can identify the needs, individual needs of the children, so that the support can be uh, given by the teacher. So the teacher need to know what, when, and how to observe and evaluate. As a teacher, he should know. He need to know what is, at what stage you are going to assess, at what stage you are going to evaluate, and when are you going to evaluate, and how to observe to evaluate, and how to. So you should know what, when, and how to observe and to evaluate. So each child's progress need to be assessed on a continuous basis using different tools. So you should assess child's progress continuously based on using different tools and the techniques such as interaction with the children. So continuous interaction should be happen, and anecdotal records, checklists, portfolios, and through continuous observation of child's participation. So the teacher should make brief written notes based on the observation of the children. So proper notes, proper checklist you should teacher need to maintain. Okay, and how and where children spend time, their social interactions, social relationships, social relationship and use of language, mode of interaction, participation levels in the classroom, transaction and outside the class, information about health and nutrition habits. So all these things as a teacher should know. So children children how and where children are spent most of the time, and their social relationship, like how they are interacting or cooperating with each other, with their friends or the peers, and also the what kind of language they are using, what kind of language and what mode of interaction, whether they are using gestures, non-verbal interaction, non-verbal communication, or sometimes they are using signs, or they are speaking by using their mother tongue. So the mode of interaction and participation levels in the classroom transaction, whether they are participating in the activities, whether they are participating actively or not, these things also teacher should know, should understand, should note down. And also outside the classroom also, how they are behaving, how they are participating in the social interaction, you should know by the help of the caregivers and the parents. So information about the health and nutrition habits also we should know as a teacher. So each child's folder or a portfolio should be available for parents and children to view, and these should remain with preschool until children stay in the class and child's in transition to another preschool or in the primary school. So all the parents should receive a written or verbal progress summary report of their child at least twice a year. So as a teacher, we should give the progress of the child, every child, summary report twice a year, at least twice a year. So each child's learning outcomes should be observed and assessed in a continuous, comprehensive manner, so as to improve scope for improvement. So continuous, comprehensive manner. The assessment should be in the form of continuous comprehensive, so as to improve. So by using this continuous comprehensive evaluation, there is a scope of improve for improvement, scope to improve uh, the teaching methodology, teaching strategy. Okay, So, so what to observe while assessing children? Major growth and development in all the developmental domains and progress in learning and achievement levels. So children's unique style and the pace of learning knowledge, attitude and interest. So issues or concerns about a child or a group of children, expected outcomes of preschool program. So maintain an observation record by the teacher periodically. Teacher should maintain an observation record periodically. So how to maintain an observation record by the teacher? So observation record is nothing but teacher after planning the program and started to implementation of the program in the ECCE center. An observation record need to be maintained by the teacher to identify the participation levels of the children and to know the learning and developmental levels to extend the support by the teacher to children. So before implementing or planning or after planning a program and started to implementation of the program, the VCC program, teacher should maintain observation record. So by using this record, there is a possibility of support by the teacher to the student. Okay, so observation record to be included with names of the children attending the center. So how many children are attending this program center or this CCE center? So you should note down all the children's names and also periodic observation of the teachers of each individual child domain wise. Each children domain wise, cognitive domain wise, or developmental domain wise, psychomotor developmental stages. So numeracy or problem solving skills. Okay, all these things you should note them. And special observations made by the teachers. Special observations made by the teacher. So in the center, at home, with peer group, in the school environment, relating to physical, cognitive, language, creative, and socio-emotional areas of the development. So that these special observation like cognitive, with the special observation like what is the level of participation in the activities at the center or at the home or with their friends or a peer group in the school environment relating to the physical, cognitive, language, creative. So is there any developmental delay? You should make sure you should find out the difficulties, learning difficulties or physical developmental delays. You should identify, and also the cognitive development of the children, and also creativity or creative and socio-emotional areas of the development. So parental observation and the remark and the interaction between the parent, children and use of community resource. So this is about the observation records to be included and some of the uh, concepts in evaluation process. So evaluation is defined as the process by means of which changes in the behavior of the learners are studied. So evaluation is a continuous process to identify the needs and the levels of development of the individual and then provide appropriate experiences. Hence, evaluation is concerned with the learning and behavioral changes and in a continuous process. So early childhood education is a development oriented and not syllabus oriented. So continuous informal evaluation of the child in the terms of their developmental objectives is absolutely essential. So why of evaluation? Purpose of evaluation is to identify what level of child is in terms of different developmental areas as reflected in the behavior, performance, participation, interaction, and expression. So evaluation also helps to identify the learning needs. This evaluation identify the learning needs of the children and make decision to support them. You can also make some decisions about the children learning and the development. So evaluation is to help the teacher is to help the teachers to reflect on strategies, materials, and methods. Assessment based on skills the children are acquiring. So this can help to determine the children's readiness for planned instruction and gather information about how well children are participating and learning from the activities presented to them in the class. This would also help the teacher to identify learning problems of any learning difficulties are facing by the children can be identified by using this evaluation process. So what is evaluation? What to evaluate and what to evaluate? What to evaluate means evaluation can be one, any one or a group or all of the following, like sustainability of the program, how far the program is suitable to the group, how far the program is suitable to the group, and program implementation strategies, to what extent are the strategies are effective, what extent are the strategies effective, and the child participation also important. So to what extent the child participation is, so the duration of the participation of the young children is also important. So child's learning outcomes. So what are the learning outcomes expected suitable to process age and development appropriate and the observation. So when to evaluate is also important. Evaluation is a continuous process, as just now told you that, and must go on throughout the teaching year and not just at the end of the term or age. It should not be at the end of the shift. It should be continuous process. It should be continuous process to a great extent. It should be carried out informally and naturally time to time. It should not be formally. It should be informally and naturally time to time. So how to evaluate this process? How to evaluate all this process? So while working with children, a teacher has to simultaneously observe and assess their program. That should be the continuous, that is simultaneous process. The process should be simultaneously, that is observation and the assessment their progress. Observation and the assessment both should be simultaneous. So this observation helps the teacher in identifying the developmental and learning levels of the children individually and in a groups. So based on these gaps and strengths identified, the children, the teacher can change the approach of techniques. So if you find out any gaps or any difficulties among the children, teacher can modify or teacher can change the approach or the technique. The teaching technique uh, can be changed or, uh, to meet the individual needs. So in the context of learning situation, the teacher has to make changes and plan for appropriate next step to support children. So this continuous evaluation not only support children in learning and development, but is also professional development for the teachers, and also to observe the effectiveness of the program and the implementation. So learning takes place incidentally when certain stimulation and environment is provided, and this might be temporary or permanent. So sometimes learning takes place accidentally through impact of certain situations. So during early childhood, which is concept formation age, pre-operational stage, the role of the teacher is to provide repeated experiences. Repeated experience, these repeated experience should be provided to sustain the development and learning, and also to scaffold. Hence, at the preschool level, there is a less focus on testing and more on evaluating the individual's children development. So, guidelines for observing and assessment children: watch for mood and temperament. Is the child is going to or tense, or child is able to express feelings verbally, or does the child easily get frustrated? All these things we will discuss in the next class. So what are the guidelines for observing or assessing the children? All these things we'll discuss in the next class. Thank you.